Hey folks, welcome to the Fallon Forum. Thank you all for tuning in. We've had some interesting conversations this week, and we're going to continue on one of those themes with a conversation with another one of the many candidates running for a city council in Des Moines. Also, we're going to talk about Democrat Bill Knapp endorsing Governor Terry Branstad and why that raises not a ripple of concern among the Democratic Party establishment. But when some people, say yours truly, goes off the reservation, so to speak, and supports a non-Democrat, all holy hell breaks loose. We'll talk about why. What's the difference? And there's a few other examples I can add to that as well. We're also going to talk a little bit about the on a couple international issues, well, NSA in particular. This is getting the U.S. in all sorts of trouble overseas, not just ethical problems, but possibly economic problems. We'll talk about that today as well. It being Halloween, we've got to talk about food, candy versus the healthy stuff, some good news to report, and also one woman's bizarre response to the obesity crisis as she works this into her Halloween spiel somehow. We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk a little bit about again, back to the whole Bill Knapp thing, about Charlie Crist in Florida doing a flip-flop and what kind of fallout that's engendering. We're going to talk a little bit about some cooperative stuff happening in Washington, D.C., at least one U.S. senator getting the need for cooperation. And if that's not enough, we'll have to go an extra half hour. But plenty to talk about today, folks. Before we launch into our conversation with Jean Minahan, I want to take a second to thank the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club and also Iowa Physicians for Social Responsibility for sponsoring this program, and, of course, also the Great March for Climate Action. And the question is not whether or not you're going to march, it's how much. Anyway, we've got 140 people signed up to march all or part of the way across the country next year, demanding action on the climate crisis. I also want to thank the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit for sponsoring this segment of our show and remind folks that if you'd like to get your own business going, check out the IES Summit coming up on November 9th. Go online to register. It's only $35 for an entire conference. It's iesusa.org. I've also got to thank N-Touch Therapy Services. One of my newest clients, Kim Foley, is a massage and physical therapist. Give her a shout at 979-8629. 979-8629. If you're a first-time customer, $40 for a full hour-long massage. I also want to thank Hawk Restaurant. No, it's not the bird, it's H-O-Q, named after Suman and Cynthia Hawk, who founded the restaurant in the East Village, where 90% of the food you eat they serve comes from Iowa farms and Iowa producers. All right, folks. So, city council candidates. We've had a bunch of them on this program, including Chris Diebel last night. We have had one candidate from the first ward, Bill Gray. Sean Bagnuski indicated an interest in coming on the show, but that's as far as it got. You know, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make him drink. The other candidates never got back to me. So I really appreciate those folks who've taken the time to come on the show and put their issues before my audience. And the latest and the last, in fact, is Jean Minahan. Jean, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you are running for the first ward, which is the northwest part of Des Moines.
That's correct.
And there are, what, five of you
Yes.
running? Pretty stiff competition.
Yes.
How's it going?
Well, it's going pretty wild.
Pretty wild, yeah.
Yeah.
And you've been a longtime resident of Des Moines.
Yes.
And very active in that area.
Yes.
And do you have any sense at all of how your familiarity in the community is helping you in terms of your polling? I mean, I'm not talking about official polls, but just your sense of how things are working for you?
Well, I think the people that live in my area will vote for me. Traditionally, they have a little history of not always voting in city council elections, and so that makes me a little nervous. Both of the people that are really working hard, Bill Gray and Sean Bagnowski, that run against me, are from Beaverdale. They're both on the Beaverdale board and neighborhood association board, and their backing, I'm assuming, is mostly in that area. So I think it's going to be I don't know. It's kind of up for grabs. It's going to be very interesting.
Well, we'll find out next Tuesday. Folks, if you want to join the conversation, if you've got a question you'd like to ask, a comment you'd like to make, it's 244-0077, 244-0077. Just want to get your take on what has perhaps become the most controversial aspect of the campaign. This has nothing to do with you, and it has nothing to do with the Ward 1, but it's kind of it's kind of affecting the entire conversation about city council elections. Chris Diebel's mailings, people are talking about that left and right. There's a lot of people who are unhappy about the mailing linking Skip Moore with the franchise fee. Do you get much feedback on that? I'm just curious as to what your take on that mailing is, or those mailings are, and what kind of feedback you're hearing, and if it's affecting the Ward 1 race at all.
Well, I don't know that it's affecting the Ward 1 race. I don't foresee that very much because I don't think any of us are seen as really strongly one way or the other. There's a pretty broad division on who's for who on the big award. I mean, on the at large.
Are you hearing that people are okay with the mailings, or do they feel there's a legitimate issue being raised? Are they upset about them? What's your take?
Well, the take I'm getting is that people are upset that it's negative. It seems like negative campaigning, and people in my ward don't like negativity very well. You know, they think that Iowans should be above that, and that they don't really like the ads that are coming out.
All right. Well, let me ask you. This is not a normal question that city council members get asked. Climate change, huge issue affecting the entire planet, of course, but there's more and more conversations at the local level, not just here, but around the country, in terms of what local communities, cities, neighborhoods even can do to be a part of the solution to the climate change crisis. What do you think as a city councilwoman, what would your position be on that issue? What would you want to do on that issue?
I definitely believe it's a important issue. I haven't thought about it too much in terms of city council aspects. I'm very much in favor of parks, outdoor areas, controlling emissions. Those are things that are important to me. I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to say on it right now.
How does a city council person? What does a city council person do to control emissions?
Well,
I mean, other than not say crazy things.
Well, I think I'm not sure if that's something we can do much about, but we can at least talk about it, take a side on it, and make a city council person is listened to. So those are
one issue that comes up is you mentioned emissions. Bikes produce less emissions than cars. And pedestrians as well. More and more cities are becoming more and more friendly to bikers and pedestrians. And again, folks can be a biker one moment, a pedestrian the next, a bus rider, and then a car driver as well. So the range of opportunity needs to be available. But there are cities that are becoming more bike friendly. And Skip Moore, points out that he feels Des Moines has become a very bike friendly city. Is it, and what could be done to improve it?
Well, I believe there has been a lot of improvements in making it bike friendly. I think some of the trails need to be connecting with other trails. Some of them don't lead. I mean, there's not a good connections in some areas.
What about bike lanes and lights that little tripping devices that allow the light to change for a bike?
Well, I don't see any reason why that can't work. I mean, bike lanes seem to be working well along Ingersoll and some other areas, and actually, I was surprised when I went to a bike forum or something that they're safer when you're riding on the regular streets than when you have your own bike lane almost, and you have your own bike path, because when you go to big streets to cross, they don't know you're going to be there.
Right.
But I was surprised at that because I thought, it's always better to have your own space, but not really.
Yeah, no, they should be able to coexist. Usually peacefully. Okay, so another aspect, and these are small issues relevant to the climate change conversation, but food. When most of the food we eat travels about 1,500 miles to appear on our grocery store shelves. Now there's a strong buy local movement and people getting food from farmers market through community supported agriculture, but also more and more people are interested in growing some or much of their own food. We have a limited number of community garden plots in Des Moines. What would you do presuming you would want to expand the community garden program, what would you do to help expand the community garden program?
Well,
the best one in the city is in your district, your ward.
We have one near me, and actually it's kind of not had the best year because the lady that was really in charge of it moved out of town. But there's another area close to me which has been very well developed, and they're beautiful plants over on 18th and Gillette. There's a community garden, and he has a lot of produce that he produces. And the people that worked it were able to get the produce, and it's worked well.
Yeah.
So I think I'm in favor of expanding them. You need to have somebody that knows what they're doing, kind of in charge of them.
And that's part of the problem right now. The head of Park and Rec has put staff in charge, and the staff. A lot of us folks who've been doing this for a long time, and I've been community gardening for a long, long time. We feel the program worked a lot better when volunteers who are actually gardeners managed it. We have more interest in it, we have more stake in it, and we always also have more expertise. And right now we feel that we have a city bureaucracy involved where we don't need it. This is where I would argue for less government. And the other problem is not only do we have management of the community garden program that is not really, again, it's paid by taxpayers, but it's also not that familiar with a lot of the issues we deal with. They also want to start charging gardeners for garden plots next year. This is on land that would be vacant otherwise. The only resource we're really using of any value is water. And, my feeling is that the gardeners shouldn't have to pay between $25 and in some cases up to $300. What do you think about that?
Maybe they should pay for their water. I mean, I don't know if that would be a problem.
That would be a lot less than $25
yes.
even on a whole, even with multiple plots,
Yeah, so I don't see the reason to pay for other on land that's not going to be used for anything else anyway. It keeps from the city having to mow it and the county, and it would be better. And especially when you're trying to get it going better, you need to encourage it. It would not be the best way to do that is not to charge people.
Let me ask you a couple questions about economic development. What do you see as the appropriate role for the city in using taxpayer dollars to encourage development?
Well, I think some of that, I'm kind of in favor of TIF dollars. I know that's one of the programs that they have.
That's been one of the controversial ones, yes.
And that's the one along areas that probably wouldn't be developed otherwise, like along 6th Avenue. Sure. I could see that's a good use.
What about for a hotel downtown?
I think there's enough business people that really want to do stuff that we don't need necessarily for that area. But
what about for bringing in Whole Foods?
I don't know. I've never thought about that.
I have the answer. The answer is no. It's a really, really, really bad idea.
Okay.
So get that in your campaign brochure. No. It's a really bad idea. To me, using any kind of taxpayer subsidy to subsidize retail development, all you're doing is putting other retail out of business. Mm-hmm. I think. And there's lots of studies that back that up too. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's my take on it.
Okay.
But it's my opinion. Of course, I'm using it, but I'm still willing to share it with you if you decide you want to make it your opinion as well.
Okay, thank you.
Happy to help. Okay, so on the issue of economic development, we've got a lot of great small businesses in Des Moines, and Des Moines has become the cultural and culinary crossroads of this country, in my opinion, with so many great restaurants. And a lot of these restaurants would like to have seating on the sidewalk, providing they're not impeding pedestrian traffic. And in many cases, the sidewalk's wide enough to accommodate some tables and chairs. But the city right now charges what seems like an inappropriate and high amount for nothing more than just putting a table and some chairs on the sidewalk. Would you look into addressing those kinds of problems, maybe repealing some of those fees so the climate is more friendly to the small business owner, in this case, restaurant owners?
Yes, I would be in favor of looking into it at least.
Have you heard of the problem before? Somebody brought that up?
No one has brought that up to me.
And I know it's probably not an issue in Ward 1, although it might be in maybe downtown Beaverdale and some of the other commercial pockets in your ward, but it's an issue in downtown Des Moines for sure. Mm-hmm. And you'll probably get to vote on these things. I
did get one or two questions about small, like taco places.
Yes, the mobile vending.
Yeah, the mobile vending. I've had a couple people ask about that, and I haven't got a strong opinion on it, but it seems like maybe we should allow more of that.
Yeah. So what do you have strong opinions about? What are your key issues? What are the reasons you're running?
One is working collaboratively with all of the people working, the small businesses, the city, the county, the neighborhood associations, nonprofits, working to get things done. And they each have certain areas of, that's important to them, but I think a lot of times you can cross lines and do things so that everybody benefits. And so we've done that some in my neighborhood through the Thrivent Project and through some other things that have really helped a lot because we work together so well.
Yeah.
And that's important to me.
Right.
Another area that bothers me some is developments for families, apartment complexes, whatever, that don't have playground areas for little kids. I just think one of that's in mind is that Anawim project on Forest. There's no playground area, and the people have to have families to live in them.
Right.
And I just
so what would you do? You wouldn't require them to have a playground, or would you?
I think I would, because I just think, these kids, mothers, it has to be kids to live there. And there's I don't know how many there, and there's one over behind those 12 days, 12 houses in 12 days. Those kids play on the lot for the senior citizens.
But should you require them to have a playground, which may be a problem financially for a nonprofit like Anawim, or is it the city's responsibility to make sure there are adequate parks nearby?
Well, in this case, I think, somebody told me it was in the original plan to have a playground, and then it didn't get developed. So I don't know. I think, to me, it's a high enough priority that it should be pushed, whether it should be just a lot of informal pressure or whether actually a rule or law or, I don't know. But I just think it needs to be taken care of or encouraged.
Gene, I've got to go to a break, Gene, but I really want to thank you for joining us. Folks, Gene Minahan is one of 5 candidates running for Ward 1, the northwest side of Des Moines, on the Des Moines for the Des Moines City Council election coming up on next Tuesday. And actually, it's not just Des Moines, obviously. Any city anywhere in the state is going to be having municipal elections on Tuesday. So be sure you get out and vote. And, of course, in Polk County, we've also got the issue of the $81 million bond referendum on the courthouse expansion. I'm curious, Gene, where do you stand on that?
I'm in favor of that.
And I'm not. I have trouble with it. Anyway, but that's another conversation. I've had that conversation on the show, and we'll probably have it one more time before the election, but not tonight. We ran out of time.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Best
I'll need
of luck.
it.
Well, we all need it, don't we? Hey, again, I want to thank the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit. This is a great event coming up on November 9th. It's a chance to take a crazy idea in your head and find a way to make it work as a business venture. Wouldn't you love to be living your passion? You can do that if you have the right kind of business plan, if you know how to use social media, if you know how the healthcare law affects your business, if you know how new changes in the tax code affect your business. All these workshops will be available at the IES at Drake University on November 9th, Saturday, November 9th. Go online for only $35. You can register, while registration is still open, at iesusa.org. .com. Sorry. I want to thank. I want to also thank the community CPA. That's Community CPA at 3816th Ingersoll Ave. They're also one of the sponsors of this program, and they've grown to be the 10th largest accounting firm in the state. I want to thank Ritual Cafe at 13th and Locust, where I had 2 meetings today, because why have 1 meeting when you can have 2 at Ritual Cafe? I had the English, my bad. The Irish blend tea and a fantastic panini. What's it called again? The po' boy. There we go. I had the po' boy. Hey, when we come back, folks, we're going to switch gears and talk a little bit about the national scene, actually the international scene, and the fallout in Europe that President Obama and our economy might be experiencing because of concerns over the NSA and spying on our European allies. We're also going to talk about one senator in Congress who seems to be understanding the nature of compromise. Who knew that was possible? We're also going to talk a little bit about healthy food on Halloween. And we're also going to talk about one woman who is refusing to serve candy to obese kids who come to her door on Halloween. I think that's fascinating. And we're going to talk about why one guy, Bill Knapp, Democrat, can get away with endorsing Governor Branstad, Republican, when some people don't have that luxury. We'll be back in just a minute.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershad.
I'm administrative manager
I am the senior technician.
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, it's got to be, it's your home.
you know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed rider it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed rider, it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
All right, folks, welcome back as I fiddle with my smartphone because I'm not as smart as the smartphone. But soon I will be able to tell you what I'm doing. Yes, here's what I'm doing. I'm telling Maddie, thank you for helping make this show work. I want to thank Gateway Market for sponsoring this segment of our program. They're 20th and Woodland. I was really happy. I'm really glad they're open till 10 at night because I had a bunch of things I had to get for the next morning. Didn't even get around to getting there till 10 of 10. And yep, they were there. And they had everything I needed. They're a great grocery store and also a great place for breakfast, lunch, and supper. And there are days when I've had all three meals there. I love their Monday. They have a Monday special, which is a big dinner for like just $6. It's really amazing. And of course, they've also got a catering service. So check out Gateway Market and Cafe, folks, at 20th and Woodland. I also want to thank Corazon Coffee Roasters, one of my newest business partners. Corazon Coffee Roasters is located in West Des Moines and Valley Junction, and they're all about fair trade coffee and, my favorite, fair trade tea. Check them out online, folks. That's Corazon, Corazon Coffee Roasters. I also want to thank Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering. Tally's is at 2712 Beaver Ave in Beaverdale. Yes, they're open for lunch and dinner and also Sunday brunch, and they too have a fantastic catering service. Robert Sanda, the owner, also does a lot of the cooking, and again, he's a creative fellow with some great ideas and some wonderful items on that menu. Okay, so plenty to talk about in the final part of this show today. Why is it that Bill Knapp can endorse Governor Branstad? Why is it, for that matter, that Democratic fundraising leader Jerry Crawford can endorse Bill Northey, Republican Bill Northey, over Democrat Francis Dickey? Why can these big Democrats endorse Republicans and get away with it when somebody like me, say, endorses Ralph Nader and still hears about it 10 years later after getting thrown off the Polk County Central Committee, after getting demoted from the ranking member position in the House Local Government Committee? I mean, I got slapped around pretty bad. After getting voted twice to be publicly flogged and once to satisfy my critics, following through on it. How come that happens to me and these guys don't even get a slap on the wrist? There's only one possible explanation, and that is money. They got tons of it. I don't. Anyway, speaking of, and I'm all for bipartisanness. I think anybody should be able to vote for anybody they want, and they should be able to say that without getting kicked around. Anyway, and for those like Leonard Boswell who might still believe that me voting for Ralph Nader caused George Bush to become president, no. Reminder, Al Gore won Iowa. Anyway, I just can't believe the political memory on that and how that still continues. But, okay, Charlie Crist. I think I'm saying his name right. Crist or Crist from Florida. Okay, this is the former Republican governor who's now a Democrat. And he's running a statewide victory for Crist would give Florida Democrats an organizational edge in the 2016 presidential election. All right, this is 3 years after he ran a losing U.S. Senate campaign to Marco Rubio. He was governor. He ran for Senate, lost the Republican primary. He's in a real position to possibly win that. It's people are less and less partisan all the time, less and less partisan, except against some of the establishment folks in the party who that's all they think about is party affiliation. Okay, it being Halloween. I have to point out that the consumption of fruit is increasing in popularity. It's now the second most popular food consumed in this country. I'm not even sure what the first is. French fries? Anyway, it's amazing to me to see that fruit has come up in popularity to that level. It moved from the number 5 position to number 2 in just 10 years. So, hey, keep those fruits coming, folks. It's good for you. And, it's easy to speak about good food on Halloween, right? Candy flowing out all over the place. The candy sales on Halloween or just before Halloween are huge. There's one woman in North Dakota who is refusing to give candy to children who she deems to be obese. This is fascinating to me. Instead of giving them treats, she's going to give them a letter, and she wants to send this message to the parents of the kids that she says, quote, "I think it's just really irresponsible of parents to send them out looking for free candy just because all the other kids are doing it." Okay, she wouldn't identify herself, and maybe that's just as well. The letter she wrote out, the letter she's giving to these kids says, quote, "Your child is, in my opinion," at least she adds that, "moderately obese and should not be consuming sugar and treats to the extent of some children this Halloween season. My hope is that you will step up as a parent and ration candy this Halloween and not allow your child to continue these unhealthy eating habits." Okay, so one professor of clinical psychology in North Dakota, Katie Gordon, says the letter could be emotionally damaging and do more harm than good. Now, on the other side, David Smith, he's a cardiologist from Doylestown, Pennsylvania, thinks the woman is doing a public service. He says, "I think it's a tough love letter. Eating disorders are a problem, but the magnitude of that risk just pales in comparison to obesity. Obesity in the last decade has taken over smoking as the leading health problem we face today." Now, I like this quote. David Smith, cardiologist, says, quote, "Giving candy to an obese child is like giving a cigarette to a person with emphysema. It is giving a drink to an alcoholic. It is giving heroin to a drug addict." I love that quote. My opinion, again, the woman has a right to do what she wants to do. If she wants to hand out a letter saying, "Hey, kid, you're fat, go home," she has a right to do that. Bad taste, in my opinion, and it's not going to get your point across. It's just going to make people mad. And you know what? You may not have identified yourself, but I have a feeling most people in North Dakota probably know who the heck you are. Anyway, I don't have enough time to talk about this whole NSA situation, but Europe is mad. Europe is hopping mad. They are really, really angry at Obama, at the NSA. And they're talking about backlash. They're talking about canceling the safe harbor data sharing deal. And this is really essential to for over 4,200 American companies that do business in Europe. This would be a huge economic hit. It's hard to explain the whole thing, but it is absolutely enormous. And if the Europeans follow through on this, as they might. I mean, they're really, we don't get how mad they are in this country. It's fascinating. And you know, again, the hero in all this, Edward Snowden. Again, I know he's going to come back. If he comes back to this country, he's looking at life in prison, no doubt about it. I'm sure he's going to be very happy in Siberia or whatever, well, Moscow or wherever in Russia he's going to live. But, you know, as far as Europeans are concerned, the guy's a hero. And as far as we are concerned, we ought to be leaning on our president and on our federal government to do everything they can to change the way they're dealing with this. I mean, Congress didn't know about what the NSA was doing. Dianne Feinstein, the chairwoman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, she went ballistic when she found out that her committee had not been informed of what the NSA is doing. Again, not just bad in terms of our freedoms and liberties, but I mean, spying on your friends? I mean, come on. That would be like me putting up a surveillance camera in the back of Maddie's car. Oh, ignore that surveillance camera in the back of your car, by the way. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. And I hope that our country wakes up on this and adopts a more reasonable posture to protecting us from legitimate terrorism without going to the extent that it has in really spying on people who have no need to be spied on. Okay, I've talked enough. The hour is up, or the half hour in this case is up. I do got to thank Gateway Marketing Cafe for sponsoring this segment of our show, and remind you folks, keep your money in Des Moines. This business is owned and operated by Iowans. No need to ship your money to corporations outside of the state when we've got a great grocery store, and a bunch of them actually, right here in Des Moines. But Gateway Market, again, thank them for supporting this program, and thank them with your dollars by going there and patronizing that business. Again, I also want to thank Fighting Burrito. I've got to tell you, my favorite is the black beans, and pork, beef, or chicken. I can go anyway on that, but I love the avocado, the guacamole. I love the grilled vegetables. But the truth is, you can put together all sorts of options for your burrito. It is really delicious. Check it out, and it's really affordable. 13th and Locust in downtown Des Moines, and on Welch Ave in Ames. I also want to thank Diana's Wedding Cakes in Newton. And I want to thank the bookstore in downtown Des Moines. And shortly, starting next week, we're going to be talking about some specific books that you can focus on that are going to be available at the bookstore right below us here in the Skywalk at 6th and Locust in downtown Des Moines. All right, folks, I want to thank you for tuning into the Fallon Forum. Again, I want to thank Maddie Kane. And again, ignore that camera behind you in the seat in the back there. Just ignore that, would you? Okay? And I want to thank Webcast One Live. I'll be back on Monday.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.